Welcome to the second tutorial here as we attempt to edit a news package. In our first tutorial, we looked at editing a VO, which was pretty basic and simple, but that's a good place to start. And now we need to take it to the next level. So let's get started here. First by reviewing just the login procedures. And most of you have done this a number of times already, but we'll just do it real quickly here. Just go to the to the Finder and then to the Go drop down, and you will go to the bottom and hit Connect to Server. And from there, you want to get on the AFP CAPSNAS server. Once you go to the AFP CAPSNAS server, then you can go ahead and log in. And once you're logged in, you can find your files. And that, of course, will be under the BC200 folder. And once you look in there, you will find another folder for the practice package materials. And that's the files you're going to need for this tutorial. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on how and where to find those files once you get into Final Cut so you can quickly find them and import them into your little practice project. And again, you don't necessarily have to edit this particular project with these files, but I think it might be helpful before you dive into trying to edit your own. So anyway, I just wanted to make this available to you, and here we go. All right, so one thing I want to point out is that I am editing here at home, so I will not be accessing the files actually from the server. I just had that video created just to serve as a for instance. So anyway, it's the same principle though. Obviously, you need to go out and import footage. So I'm going to go here to Final Cut, and then I'll just go to import my footage. Well, I guess I could start a new library, but I'm already functioning within a library, so I'm going to go ahead and I guess I'll go ahead and create a new library. Why not? So we'll call this Dwight's Stuff. All right, and we'll save it there, and then I'll go ahead and start a new project too within that library. And this will be package tutorial. And away we go. Okay, so now we're all set to go ahead and import the footage. Just go to File, Import, Media. And let's see, I think that's going to be on the other, let's go to the other partition within my external hard drive. Again, can't suggest this enough that you probably should get some external storage here just to help you out. So anyway, as you see it within the server, within the BC200 folder, you'll see this practice package folder. And within that, then, like I said, it has all the files. I have some B-roll here, and again, B-roll is just another term for action footage. And then, of course, I have my interview footage. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those two. I'll just shift here and select both and import. And they're going to come in a little funky, but that's okay. It's fine. And what I mean by funky is that it's just going to list them by the date, but that's okay. There's only a few files here, so I'm not too worried about it. Now, another way, if you wanted to look at things more visually, you can adjust how you see them in the browser window here by just going to View, and you can view them as film strips. And again, that might be helpful. Again, if you only have a few clips, this isn't bad. So for your packages, you could probably get by if you're under 20 clips. Otherwise, it gets really confusing. And so most of the times, I just edit with a list. All right, so because again, I can twirl each of these open and quickly see a list. You know, that's why it's helpful to kind of, as you're going through your clips, describe them briefly so you kind of know what you're looking at. And sometimes it's helpful to describe them as either a close-up or a wide shot, or maybe if you do an occasional pan or zoom, you could note that in there too. So be as descriptive as you want to be when kind of logging your clips. Okay, so in this case, though, what I would like to do, first of all, now that we've got all these cool clips into our browser window, I want to start out by creating what's called the main audio track. That's going to be really a key central idea here as you look to construct your first package, because you think, oh gosh, I have all these files, but really the only ones we have to be really concerned about at this moment would be your sound bites. Really, we want to select those, and then we can maybe drop in some a narration track, and again create this really nice little timeline here, and then we'll build our footage around that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And I guess I'll do this in sequence. Of course, we have our anchor intro, but I also need to lay down my narration track. So one way I can do that is by going to Window here, and it says Record Voiceover. And when I hit Record Voiceover, it will allow me to simply just record right onto the timeline. Now again, I'm going to do this right now just as a for instance, just to get my voice on the timeline. Another preferred method, a more preferred method I should say, at least from if you don't have a USB microphone like I do, I would recommend just recording your voice with a microphone plugged into the camera, and just leave the lens cap on the camera and just record your voice, and then you can import that, and then I'll show you how to take the video part out so that you just wind up with just the audio portion that really is all you need for the narration track. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and record a quick voiceover just so we can give you, for instance, as to how you would put this together. Okay. So as I hit that, you see a little record window comes open here, and then I'll just hit record, and then it's going to give me a countdown. It may look like an operating room, but it's a classroom where students at Northern Michigan University are pursuing a 2-year degree for surgical technician. The Surg Tech degree is one of 5 certificate or associate's degree programs offered in the Clinical Sciences Department at NMU. According to Department Head Linda Repe, such highly specialized programs can be a fast track to employment. Okay, so that was all right, and we'll just hit stop. And as you can see now, I have my narration track. It may look like an operating room, but it's a classroom where students at Northern Michigan University are wonderful. Okay, so we're off and running. We've got that part out of the way. And again, that's why it's going to be important to have your script pretty well written so you can lay down your narration track, because that sets up my first soundbite. So let's go here and find it. Let me twirl that back so this isn't getting so cluttered. All right, so I just happen to have a handy dandy soundbite here with Linda Repe. So I will grab that, get rid of this thing. All right, so you all remember how we did this the other day, where when you get a clip up in your browser window there, you just hit L, and maybe I'll hit L again because I want to get to the good stuff here. And I know this first part is, again, as I mentioned in class, this is just, she answered this with more facts, and that really wasn't what I was looking for. So I know this is something I really don't want to use, but I asked her kind of the same question again a second time to kind of draw out maybe a different response, and then she nailed it. So sometimes that's a nice little trick. If they don't answer it the way you want to, want them to come across, maybe just ask a slightly different question, and then you get maybe the answer you're looking for. And she it elicited a response that was much more passionate than what she had
to the baccalaureate
provided
degree.
Before.
They have the opportunity then for professional.
Okay. We'll just get to the good stuff here. All right, I'm going to crank the audio here, probably as far as I can get it. But anyway, convince a student to come here, what would you say to that student? Okay, I'm going to stop it right there because I'm going to set my endpoint, because she thinks about this for a second and then she comes right back with a great answer. So there's my endpoint, and we'll let it roll for a little bit.
You will get a job.
You will get a job.
Our placement rate in employment is approximately 99% across the board throughout all of our programs. You will be employed.
And out. Okay, so that's it. I've got my soundbite. I'm happy. I'm going to drop that right on my timeline, and we're going to be good to go. All right, so there it is. All right, so I've got my soundbite there. I've got my narration track here, and we'll arrange them in order here in just a second. But for now, hey, we're kind of on a roll. Why don't we just, keep knocking this out? So let me do one more narration track. Actually, I'll just go ahead and record two more, and then my narration track, my work will be done here, folks. All right. So anyway, let's go back to the window here where I can go ahead and record my voiceover, and here we go. Freshman Ruth Harmala is seeking an associate's degree in clinical lab sciences. All right. I didn't like the way I said that, so not real happy with it. So let's just go ahead and delete that. Not a problem. We'll just take it again. Freshman Ruth Harmala is seeking an associate's degree in clinical lab sciences. There we go. All right, a little better. All right, so I've got that, and let me just do one more here, and this will wrap it up. The Department of Clinical Sciences offers certificates or associate's degrees in other areas like respiratory therapy and radiology. Reporting from Marquette for Public Eye News, I'm Dwight Brady. All right, so that's that. I've got my stuff, and I think I'm ready to go here. Now, again, I mentioned we will have to arrange these, and right now I'm just using the arrow tool, but to get these positioned where I want them, I need to use the position tool. So it kind of looks like the arrow tool, but it's a little different, okay? And it has a different function, because if I just try to move something with the arrow tool, it's going to want to snap back. All right, whoops, hello, and it's not only snapped, it jumped to another track on me here. So it's going to want to move back, okay? So, but if I use the position tool, I can move it and it's going to stick. All right, so that's what I really want. All right, so let's go here.
It may look like an operating room.
Okay, and I got to move this other one out from underneath it here too. It's going to have to go somewhere else. All right.
Associate's degree programs offered in the Clinical Sciences Department at NMU. According to Department Head Linda Reapy, such highly specialized programs can be a fast track to employment.
And then we got to get to her bite.
Okay, so that was
okay.
Specialized programs can be a fast track to employment.
Okay, great. So I don't need the rest of this. I'm just going to stop there.
Highly specialized programs can be a fast track to employment.
Okay, great. Now let's see. We'll slide Linda down here.
Programs can be a fast track to employment.
Okay, and then again, I want to maybe blow up my timeline a little bit here. I can do it a couple different ways. I can just hit Command ++. That straightens it out. It stretches it out, I should say. All right, and sometimes once you do that, you're looking at almost frame by frame. So maybe I'll have to shrink it back down here just a skosh. All right, there we go. And again, we just want to get it large enough to, I'm chasing this thing down here. It's being fussy here on me. All right, so.
Can be a fast track to employment.
Okay, so I know I need to bring her bite just about right there. Okay.
Can be a fast track to employment.
You will get.
And she's got that little at the beginning. Okay, so maybe I need to get that out of there too, right? But I don't want to necessarily take away her video because I like the fact she's kind of winding up there, and I don't want to just chop right to it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to enter blow this up a little bit more, and then I'm going to have to enter a little keyframe here to manage her audio because the audio track is down here. All right, on that clip. So let me do that. I'm just going to go Command ++ here just to stretch out my timeline just a little bit more, and we'll back it up. Okay, and again, I'm just using the arrow keys to kind of go back and forth here. All right, so now that I stretch this out, I can maybe take that little Yeah, right there. I'm going to take that little out of there. All right, so back up to about here. And again, I want to leave her video intact, but I just want to get rid of that little lip pop there. All right, so to do that, I'm going to go right here, and I'm just going to go Option, click, and that's going to set a keyframe. And I'll go over here and set another keyframe, and now I can just pull. You'll notice. Let me just zoom in here real quickly. Right, you'll be able to see this. This line right here is the audio level line. So that's optimal levels. I mean, I could raise it, lower it, whatever. But here, I'm going to just take it right down to nothing here. Okay. And now it should have taken that little pop out of there.
You will.
All right, you will get a job. No more pop. Okay. All right. So let me zoom back out, and let's see if that times out about the right.
You will get it.
Yeah, you don't want to have your soundbite start right as soon as you're done talking. Let it breathe a little bit. All right. So
job. Our placement rate in employment is approximately 99%.
Again, we'll just kind of let this go. I'm going to command minus, shrink my timeline back down so I can move on to the next little thing. All right, let me get rid of this window here. All right, so let's move along. And let's see what I've got left.
The Department of Clinical Sciences offers certificates or associate's degrees in other areas like respiratory therapy and radiology. Reporting from Marquette for Public Eye News, I'm Dwight Brady. Department of Clinical Sciences.
Appears, let's see, let me go look around here for a second. Did I accidentally delete my other, my little transition clip? I think I did. So, all right, well, no harm, no foul. I'll just grab this with the positioning tool, stick it on down the line somewhere, and I'm going to bring back my window and record another voiceover real quickly here. All right, I'm kind of losing my voice here because of a sinus issue or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to gross you out or anything, but it's no fun, folks. Here we go. All right, we'll go ahead and count this down. Freshman Ruth Harmela is seeking an associate's degree in clinical lab sciences. Okay. All right, so we drop that in there. And again, I can move this around. And we'll put this in right after Linda's soundbite. So you can see we're building this
99% across
timeline
the
here
board
with regard
to
the primary audio track.
You will be employed.
You will be employed. Boom. Okay, she's pretty emphatic about that. All right. So here we go.
Throughout all of our programs. You will be employed.
Okay, and maybe I want to leave some natural sound in there before this next thing starts. And
freshman Ruth Harmela is seeking an associate's
degree. So
leave
leave a little space there for now. We can clean that up later. Again, I can easily squeeze this down, and just I could take this out if I wanted. But for now, I'm just going to leave that in as kind of a placeholder. If there was some audio there that I wanted to take out, I could. But I'm just going to leave it there.
Freshman Ruth Harmela.
And we'll just call it good. And we'll drop in the next soundbite, and I've already got my outro already established. Now, again, these little green boxes here, again, represent what I've done with the onboard record voiceover function. But let me, again, talk about this whole idea of you recording your voice within the camera. So let's pretend, let's go back to this soundbite here. And let's pretend this is actually your voice track, and that it's not an interview with Linda Riepe. All right, so let's say, I go back to the beginning here, and I set my endpoint here, and I go a little farther, and then I set my, let's back it up a little bit. Okay, and we set an out point, oh boy, endpoint, and out point, something like that. Okay, we can squeeze it this way. It doesn't matter. Anyway's fine. Okay, so let's say this is my narration track that I recorded on my camera. Now, if I just go ahead and hit E, it's going to bring it in. Let's see if I want to drop it in between some of these clips. It's just going to drop it in with video, but I don't want that, so I'm just going to delete that real quickly, and I'll come back up here again. And now watch what happens if I hit Shift number 3 and then hit E. It's just going to bring it in as an audio track. You will be employed.
Transition with all of their credits being applied to the...
Okay, so isn't that cool? So it just brings it in now without the video clip, and now I can just use it as an audio clip. So that's how you will be importing your voice track that you record on the camera. Again, it will come with video attached to it, but the way we take that off of there is just by, again, I'll repeat this, by when you're up here, instead of just hitting E for the append edit and dropping it onto your timeline, you would hit Shift number 3 while you have this selected, and then when you hit E, it just drops it in as an audio only clip, which is kind of cool. So you'll probably want to use that method because, again, unless you have a USB microphone, recording your main audio it's going to sound pretty tinny. I must tell you that right off the bat here. Okay, so anyway, we have our narration track for the first 15 seconds or so of the package, and then we have Linda's soundbite, and then we have this little bridge thing that I've got in here.
Freshman Ruth Harmel.
Okay, wonderful. The thing's going well. All right, and then I have my little outro thing here. So let me just do one more edit here for the main audio track, because we do need the second soundbite. All right, so let's go find that. Okay, and so here it looks like my soundbite's here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fire that up. And again, we'll just use JKL. Triple J to get through the interview a little faster.
Program, I'm very confident that I would find out
Okay.
After completing Northern's program, I'm very confident.
Okay, so we're right there where we want to be. All right, so I'm just going to hit a... Okay, and she doesn't hesitate right after I ask the question, so I'm just going to hit I there.
After completing Northern's program, I'm very confident that I would find a job because the program here is excellent, and they really prepare you for going out into the job field.
Okay, and I'll just call it good. That sounds great. I'll use that as my second soundbite. Okay, again, we're eliciting her opinion about the future. She's not quoting facts and figures. She's just saying, I feel really confident, and that's what we want to bring out in these sound bites. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm just going to go ahead and drop that in. Oops, I got to make sure I tell it to go back to doing video now. Okay, and that's actually Shift 1. Forgot that if you don't tell it again, it'll keep bringing it in as an audio only. So, all right. There we go. So then we've got Ruth back here as our second soundbite. Fantastic. And it kind of drops right in there. I anticipated the timing pretty well. All right. So anyway, we'll just go back and listen to see how these flow together.
Lab Sciences.
Okay, and we probably want this bite to come up pretty quickly. I'm not going to mess around with a whole lot of nat sound or anything there. I'm just going to, and again, I'll probably want to zoom in a little closer on that timeline. So I'm going to hit Command ++ just to get a little closer and fine-tune the editing just a little bit. And you can see when you zoom in, you can see the audio levels a little more clearly too at the bottom.
Clinical Lab Sciences.
Right now I can slide this over because I can hear the audio and I can also see the levels right there. And this will be a pretty tight little edit here. Let's see.
Lab Sciences.
After completing Northern's program, I'm very confident.
It's not bad. I mean, again, this is a fairly rough edit. We can fine tune it later, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of how to lay this all down. And back up just a little bit.
They really prepare you for going out into the job field.
Okay, and we'll worry about the levels. I may have to raise those up a little bit for her just to make sure they're matching mine. All right, so let's see. We've got one more thing to do here. I'm going to drop this down here. Slide it over just a little bit more and see how that works. Okay.
The Department of Clinical Science.
Yeah. Let's see here.
The job field.
Okay, that's not bad. And again, if I decide later I want more space in here, I can put some natural sound, and I think I really want to put some natural sound there. If you notice, listen.
The job field.
The Department of
There's this kind of a centrifuge or something running in the background, and it was making some noise while we were doing the interview, and I probably don't want that in there, but I'll try to cover it either with natural sound, or again I can just go in here, and as I showed you before, I can go in and maybe just pull her audio down a little bit. Okay, see right here, then you can hear that machine running in the background. And that would be a good place to perhaps put a couple of keyframes. Remember, I can put a keyframe here just by hitting Option, click, and hit Option, click again, and then I just pull it down. And again, I can drag this over a little bit more too if I want to make it just a real abrupt. Or maybe I can move this over to soften it a little bit so it slowly fades. I can even add another keyframe on there to put multiple keyframes within a short span of time.
The Department of
And now you'll notice when she's done talking,
job field.
Boom, it kind of fades out. And again, I could put some other sound in there as well to maybe mask that machine that's in the background. That's really bugging me at the moment, to be frank about that. Okay, so let me just go ahead and zoom back out to the timeline. And so as you can see now, we're pretty well set. We've got the main audio portion pretty well done from start to finish, and we've only been at this just a little bit of time.
It may look like an operator.
I'm pretty happy with it. So right now I'm going to take a break, and then we'll come back maybe with more of the B-roll laid down, and then we'll get ready to put on some graphics. Okay, so we'll be back with another video in just a sec. Okay, welcome back to the second half of our video, and as you can see from the rather cluttered timeline, I've been pretty busy here putting some B-roll over the main audio channels. Again, this is my narration track down here, and then as you remember, this is our first sound bite, and I've actually sprinkled in a little video over the top of that, and I'll talk more about this particular clip in a moment. And then we're pretty much done right to the end here. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a completed project here, and I'm just going to go back to the beginning here, and we just need to take a look at some of these clips, because this is what is called a rough edit, and we're going to need to fine-tune this a little bit more before we can call it a day. All right, so from the very beginning, we've got a little nat sound.
It may look like an operating room, but it's a
and
classroom
again, you can hear
where
my
students at
narration
Northern
track.
Michigan University are pursuing a 2-year degree for certain.
And if you'll notice, though, again, this is a pretty elaborate shot for a news production. This is more of a field production move. Obviously, the camera's on a dolly. I don't expect you to go out into the field and do that, but I just thought it was a cool shot, and I thought I would just throw it in there. But you'll notice one thing. I'm going to talk about continuity. Look at the nurse on the right here. She's turning her head back just as the dolly's coming to an end, right? Watch this. Okay, and so, but then the other shot really doesn't match it, because her head is actually stagnant there at that one particular point. But there is a spot where she does turn.
For certain.
Okay, so because I just want to try to match these up. So she's in the process of turning right there. And let's see if we can get those to match up.
A 2-year degree for.
And I'm just going to go in here now and below the timeline up a little bit, as I showed you before, just Command ++. That gives me a little bit more close-up look at what's going on. Hopefully this is being clear to you. Because see, right now, by the time I get to that shot, see this, she's already stopped moving her head. So I want to catch her on the turn here while she's in action. This is really subtle. I mean, this is probably more trouble than it's worth, but I'm going to go ahead and just grab that, and I'm going to bring her audio and video down. Okay. And let's just see how this goes together.
University are pursuing a 2-year degree.
All right, not bad. It's better anyway, right? In terms of continuity.
They are pursuing a 2-year degree.
All right, so she just kind of brought her head around a little bit. And what you try to do is you try to cut on movement. See, there's movement, and we've got movement there too. We probably need to catch it a little more this way. So again, I'm getting really fussy here, probably more so than I need to be. And again, I split these audio tracks, and so that's why I'm having to putz around with both of them. So let's just try that. We'll just slide these down. Okay.
Pursuing a 2-year degree.
It's not bad. Okay. So it's very subtle. Probably still got to slide down a little bit more. All right. Okay, this is probably far more trouble than you want to mess with, but I thought I would just show it to you while I was in the process of doing this. So, all right, let's slide these down. And now let's see what happens.
Are pursuing a 2-year degree.
All right, now we're cutting right on the action. That's perfect. So we're going from there to there, and it's a really nice shot.
Pursuing a 2-year degree.
Okay, so we can live with that.
For surgical technician. The Surg Tech degree is one of 5.
Again, I've got a little natural sound going underneath now. Oh, gee, I created a problem on the back end, didn't I? Not a problem. We'll stretch these shots out. Okay, so we've got this next shot coming up. And we've got to start paying attention to the audio here. Because now within that, you can hear somebody's voice kind of pop up, right? But I like the natural sound
or associate's degree programs
of that. So I may have to dip the audio there just a little bit. So I'm just going to, again, grab this. And I'm just going to kind of lasso both of those. And we'll slide them over.
Is one of 5 certificate or associate.
And you notice here I've broken apart the audio on this again, and the way you do that is through the clip, and you just select the clip and go up here, and what I've done is when they were together, here we'll grab one that is actually together, and if you can break apart the clip items, so I can break apart the audio and have separate controls over that if I would like, and you notice this audio track now extends underneath the other video track of the other clip because I just basically deleted it and decided I wanted to keep this audio continuous rather than going, chopping from one clip to the next. It's kind of like I was talking to you in class about, like if you shoot a marching band, let the one track just run underneath, the natural sound for the whole thing. So each time you change a clip, the song doesn't change, So anyway, that's kind of the same idea I was going for here, but it does make moving your clips around a little bit. But then what I do is just kind of grab both the audio and video, and I can still slide them together. So anyway, just FYI, that's what I was doing there. So I cut to this little thing, but then there's this, somebody pipes up here.
Associate's degree.
Yeah, right there. So again, I've got my audio track here, and we talked a little bit about audio before. Again, I'm just going to go and set some keyframes here. I'll just put Option, click. Whoops. Try it again, and make sure we're right on that timeline, our audio. And then so I'll want to keep my audio up here, and I can see down here. This is where the interference is coming in. So I'll probably want to dip the audio there. I don't want to take it all the way out. So we'll dip it right here. Put another keyframe in there, and another keyframe here. All right, it's kind of tedious work, but it's just kind of what we do to clean things up. And I'm doing more probably than you would typically do in a news package, but here we go. Let's see if that works.
Certificate or associate's degree programs offered.
Yeah, so, and then maybe I can just pull the overall level down just a little bit here too, because it gets a little too much.
Its degree programs offered in the clinical.
So I want the natural sound to be present, but I don't want it to be overwhelming my narration track. And again, I could bring up my narration track on the audio levels
Sciences department,
which I probably will do. Let me just take a look. Yeah, I can probably slide that up just a little bit more, just to get a little more gain. We want good solid audio levels.
Offered in the clinical sciences department at NMU.
Okay, good. All right, so again, I'll just go ahead and move this piece down here a little bit. Lots of nice tasty close-ups here, and again, still using the positioning tool just to move my clips along. Whoops, might have moved that one a little too far. Okay, that's okay. What it did, it just skipped to the track above it. Not a problem. And let's go ahead and go through here and make sure everything's nice and kosher here, and we'll move on to the next one. And we're going to run a little short, it looks like, on video in this particular spot. But again, I could let it go, but then it's going to run into something else that I don't want. So let's just, again, we'll zoom back out. We'll go Command minus minus. It should get me out where I can at least look at my other pieces here. So the piece I have here is not a terribly interesting shot of Linda Riepe at her desk. But I do mention her, so it's let's see here.
Sciences department at NMU. According to
department head Linda Riepe, so I can just slide this over, not a problem. Whoop, I don't want to slide it over too far though. It's kind of jostling my clips, but
at NMU. According to department head Linda Riepe, such highly specialized programs can be a fast track.
And maybe I want one more shot here or something to fill this, and that'll be our last shot that we'll lay in there. Now, this particular shot here, I'm going to delete it actually for now because it's covering a spot in my interview. So here we go. We've got the introduction shot of Linda Riepe, and then we're going to.
You will get a job. Our placement
to the
rate in employment
interview, and you'll see her struggle with some figures. So she's kind of rolling her eyes, and I'm thinking, maybe, I could let that roll. No pun intended. I could, let this go, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to make my subject look good. She took the time out of her day to talk to me, and so I want to make her look good on TV. I don't want her eyes rolling all over the screen here. So I'm going to go and cover that. And again, I have this clip up here, and I'm just going to drag it back down to the timeline because I want to show you again another technique again with this position tool. Then when you reach for a clip, it'll give you this little hand tool, which is kind of handy. That was a pun intended. So I can just drag this now down to the timeline. So this is another way to get your clips down there. You can drag them to the timeline. We've talked about doing append edits and all the insert edits here in between clips and at the end of the timeline, etc., or at the beginning of the timeline. There's lots of ways you can do it. So I just wanted to show you that. And so I'm going to drop that in right there. And
our placement rate.
And she's just looking up there, and I'm just going to slide this over just to cover that glance up to the ceiling.
Rate.
That glance to nowhere. Yeah, so we'll cover that. Let's see how this looks.
Placement rate in employment.
And again, I've got to watch my audio levels on this clip too because it's a little bit much. Again, it's okay to have that sound. And again, if I really had the time here on this tutorial, I would probably close the ends on each one of these. And what I mean by that is I would set keyframes. What the heck? Let's just go ahead and do it. We'll just zoom in here real fast. And here's the way I usually try to treat. And again, I'm going to expand my timeline. Command ++, or maybe at least 1+ here. And so at the end of each audio clip, if I have the time, I'll do it. Otherwise, I won't get this fussy. So I'll just go Option and move it down here again. Maybe Option again, and I'll just pull it down, just so that my clips slowly, and maybe not even fade all the way up, but just kind of fade them down, just so they don't chop out. Okay, so the audio doesn't just all of a sudden disappear. So it's a nice smooth segue in and out of some of these clips. Again, this is probably more high level than we need to do in television news. But it's just from years of doing documentaries, I get a little fussy. Okay, so again, I'll go ahead and zoom back out. All right, so let's kind of close the ends on these a little bit, just to make it nice and smooth going
rate in employment is approximately 99%.
Okay, so we've covered up this section here where again, if you were to look underneath this clip, if I were to slide it over, again, my subjects, having a little trouble thinking about numbers, and I'm just covering it up.
Is approximately 99% across the board throughout all of our programs. You will be employed.
Here's a great soundbite. And notice I've left a little space here, even though, this kind of did two things. It got me away from the interview, especially in a portion that wasn't, as flattering as I would have liked to my subject. And, it just gives some relief from the talking head for a moment, okay? But I still want to leave some space in here to put her graphic up. Because even though I mentioned her by name leading into the soundbite, I want to make sure that I get my graphic in, and we'll bring those graphics in just a little bit, okay? So hopefully that wasn't too confusing for you, but I just wanted to stop there, and we're touching on some of the finer points here, all right? So we've got our B-roll here on the timeline. We got to fill a little gap here, obviously, and we'll figure out how to do that in just a second.
Rate in employment is approximately 99% across the board throughout all of our programs.
Okay.
You will be employed. Across the board throughout all of our programs. You will be employed.
Okay, let's go on. Obviously, I've got a nat sound issue there. I mean, I want good nat sound, and this is the way I want to end this part of the story, with her saying this.
Employed.
You will be employed. But now I'm going to make a pretty abrupt transition. Again, I probably could.
And 112 is vibrometer.
I guess I kind of want this to be a little bit jarring, so that's okay. But I got to get it out of there before my narration track starts.
Degree in clinical lab.
All right, because right now it's just completely burying my narration track. You can't even hear me. You can hear you can hear Ruth Harmala, but you can't hear me. Okay, so let's go back in here and bring this down a little bit overall, and then I'm going to have to dip her natural sound almost all the way out when I start talking. So again, I'm going to go ahead and do Option click here and another Option click, and now I can just dip her audio down a little bit when my voice comes in down here on the narration track. So it should time out pretty well. Here we go.
Freshman Ruth Harmala is seeking an.
Okay.
Freshman Ruth Harmala is seeking an associate.
Okay, I want to make sure that there's parity between whatever my levels are and my subject. So if
you will be employed.
Yeah, my subject's down there around minus 20 dB, and I'm, when I bump this up, my levels are a little hot.
Freshman Ruth Harmala.
I probably want to bring Ruth's levels up here a little bit, and because I want that nat sound to be pretty apparent. And I'm going to bring my levels actually back down. Just again, the main thing is to make sure that you're mixing your levels so that, again, your subject isn't significantly louder than you, or vice versa, okay? In this case, I was a little louder than my subject.
Be employed.
And 112 is vibrometer.
Freshman Ruth Harmala is seeking an associate.
And again, I could fix hers real easily by just sliding the overall volume level up just a skosh, which you can see I can do. And it doesn't take much to really make a significant difference, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so
is seeking an associate's degree in clinical lab
I don't want to go
sciences.
into too much more detail here.
After completing
I want to give you enough so that you could really get down to the nitty gritty here with regard to editing your these clips, or again your final actually your first draft of your first package.
Program, I'm very confident that I would find a job because.
Okay, great. So she's confident here. So we're moving right along through here. Now you notice.
After completing Northern.
You notice that you don't have to go to the soundbite, at least the talking head, right away as soon as they start talking. Look, there's a little bit of overlap here, see? And that is something I try to do quite often. There may be times where I want to make sure I see that person, the first word out of their mouth. But more often than not, I'll just let the B-roll just kind of trail over the video. Then we'll just kind of segue
Northern's
into
program. I'm very confident that I would find a job because the program here is excellent.
And again, I want to make sure I leave enough time here to get my graphics in. I need at least probably 5 seconds of screen time of the subject to get my graphics in, because you want the graphics on the screen for at least 4 seconds. Because if they're not on for 4 seconds, there's no way that the human eye is going to be able to pick that up and be able to read a name and title in any time less than that. So just be mindful of that. Make sure you leave a window that's big enough to fit the graphics in there. So she gets done talking here.
For going out into the job field.
The Department of Clinical
Science sound. That's again, it's probably a little too hot, so I'm just going to just pull that back just a little bit.
Offers certificates or associate's degrees in other areas like respiratory therapy.
Okay, had a little issue there coming out, right? Okay, so let's take care of that. We got to clean that up. Yeah, we'll pull this back over here, and we've got lots of footage here. We can, whoops, I'm going to pull it too far. We want to make sure we're at least snapping it up against the next clip so we don't have a black flash frame or something in between these clips.
Areas like respiratory therapy and radiology. Reporting from Marquette for Public Eye News, I'm Dwight Brady.
Okay, cool. All right, so again, you want to make sure you leave enough pad video here at the end. Notice it ends at 109.16, but I'm going to let this trail to just about a full second after that. It's just not a bad idea, and it's almost a full second. Probably a good second or two would be advisable.
I'm Dwight Brady.
Yeah, so we've got plenty of time here. After I sig out, it's 18 something, and we're almost a second and a half actually behind the sig out. So, but that's some pad video at the end. We need a little pad video at the beginning.
It may look like
and it also provides me a chance to just sprinkle in a little natural sound. Okay, let's pick up where we left off here. Again, I'm just about ready to wrap this little package up here. We've got some good clips in place. We've got we're doing a little tweaking on the audio here. We're coming out of our narration track here into the.
You will get a job.
Our place. Okay, so everything's coming along pretty well.
99% across.
I think we've covered up almost all the issues here with regard to. Let me go back and just zoom out so you can see the entire timeline here. Okay, so you can see we've got our project from start to finish here. We've got our opening shot, the second shot, another cutaway, another close-up, the introduction shot. It's a little wide, but it still works. Again, a shot there just to stretch it out till we get to the sound bite, and then again we're going to have to fill some graphics in here, and then we've got the introduction of Ruth Harmala. She talks. We've got again space here for our graphics to drop that in, and we'll get to that in just a second. And then it's just a couple closing shots over the top of our narration tracks, okay, which are hiding down here. So, and that's about as busy as a timeline gets in Final Cut. Again, a lot of times we'll just try to keep things stringing right along, but in this case, we had to kind of drop some clips onto different layers, and again, some of that was just done by dragging and dropping them into the timeline and just stacking them up on top of one another. So. Hopefully you have some fun with these clips. And now let's just go ahead and put the icing on the cake, as they say. So we'll just go over here to the text icon. And again, we've already got some text up here, so I'll just go ahead and that will put me in the window over here where I can go ahead and add some text. And again, here you can see I can pick from a number of templates that are already set up for me, and I like this just basic lower third is about all I really need to to drop in. I'm just going to, oops, like I accidentally hit 2 of them, so I'll have to go in here and take out 1. Well, I'm getting the spiraling pinwheel of death here. It doesn't look good. Okay. Okay, so anyway, I've got my graphic here, and I can drag it and move it just like any other clip. Okay, and the default setting is, I think, about 10 seconds for these, so I really don't need it up there that long. And we want to make sure it's on the screen for, maybe 5 to 7 seconds, depending on how much time you've got to, to put it on screen. So we'll get that in here. We'll want to put that up there shortly after Ruth comes on the screen. So I'm going to again zoom in a little bit on my timeline. Again, Command plus, just so I can get a little better look at this. All right, it looks good. So we're coming into that at 4812. We're coming out of it at 5404. So it's going to be on screen for just about 6 seconds here. I'll put a little dissolve into the graphic on the front end, so maybe I'll just stretch it out a little bit more. Again, I don't want to get bogged down too much in time. All right, so again, when I double click on it, then I can go up here and again, I'm going to zoom in on this portion here for you. And if I want to change her name, I can just click on the name, and again, it'll be highlighted here. It will also show up over here where I can type in her name. Okay, and so as you can see right here, it's in there, and then I would click down below it to get the other part of the title here. All right, and this right now is called description, but again, I'm going to put her title in. I guess we'll just call her NMU student for now. We'd probably have a more specific title, but again, for just instructional purposes, this is fine. All right, let me zoom out just a little bit more so we can see all of what we need to work on over here in the this particular window here. So again, we've got our font type, size, etc. We could make the font size bigger if we wanted to, but for now I'm just going to go ahead and leave it the way it is. Again, we can mess around with the line spacing, the tracking, how wide we want the spacing to be between the letters. Let's see, what else can we do in here? Okay, and then we can also add a drop shadow. If you notice right now we have white lettering over someone wearing a white lab coat. That's not good. And again, we can change the color of the text, but we'll at least give it a drop shadow here. And when you click this little square, then we get the option here to, and again, you notice we've got a drop shadow now on the title below. And we'll increase the opacity just a little bit, so we have that punch out just a little bit more. Again, I'll zoom back in on this, and now you can see that drop shadow in here. Okay, and it'll show up a lot more. Let me just go ahead and blow this up a little bit so you can see it a little easier. Or maybe you won't be able to. Okay. All right, you can see some of the drop shadow emerging here. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the top name. And let's change the color of that because right now we don't want them both white. Usually what I'd like to do with the top layer, let's say, we'll go and find a nice rich gold color would be good. That's kind of wimpy, so let's go find something that's a little more robust. Okay, and again we can change the tracking. I think the tracking is a little tight on that. We'll just spread it out a little bit. Okay, and again we're definitely in need of some drop shadow here. Okay. I'm just trying to find a gold that's really going to work for me here. All right, get something that's a little richer. Okay, great. So now that we've got that selected, we'll go ahead and select drop shadow for that. And you can see it pop in there, and that's not bad. Okay, and there's a lot of ways you can adjust the angle. Probably don't want to blur that up much. I'm just going to adjust the opacity up so it's a real nice clean, so it punches out really well. So as you can see here, now we've got the emergence of something that's working pretty well for our name graphic. Let's see if there's anything else we can finesse here before we wrap it up. But anyway, that at least gets you started in terms of the ability to lay down your main audio track, add your B-roll, and then just put in some basic graphics to make for a pretty nice little finished product here. All right, so with that, I think we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you Tuesday in the lab to kind of see how you're progressing with this part of the project. All right, great, thanks.